We spoke at length on the show about Microsoft's 19-year-old American girl AI bot Tay, and no doubt we already saw some early red flags in some of her responses to queries on Twitter. Well, today, Microsoft has pulled Tay offline after she was influenced to parrot hate speech, tweeted out support for some pretty vile things, to say the least. Joining us to talk about the deactivation of Tay is Alex Kantrowitz from BuzzFeed. How's it going, Alex?
It's going well. Thanks for having me on.
It's great to have you here. Thanks for joining us. So first things first, I know that you had some conversations with Tay early on. How civilized was she with you?
I mean, pretty civilized. I wasn't asking her to make any comments about the Holocaust or to advocate for genocide. So I think that I was managed to avoid what she's been up to lately until she was shut down.
So you were part of a closed beta that was part of the testing that Microsoft did, correct?
That's right. Me and two other reporters at BuzzFeed, and then my little brother, who's 18 years old, we're all in on it. So.
And your little brother, I'm assuming, also approached it from a civilized standpoint as opposed to the rest of the internet, apparently.
Yeah, it was funny. The first thing that I heard from him was a message saying, "It's hitting on me," and because he told it good night and it said, "I love you," and I think that he was surprised by that, and I thought it was kind of interesting. We've reported on Facebook's disinterest in taking positions in the past. I asked Facebook, would you kill baby Hitler? And it said, I don't really have anything to say about that. I asked Tay, would you kill baby Hitler? And Tay said, of course. So we knew it took stances. Obviously, I thought it would have more personality than M. It does have more personality than M. Turns out it's a lot more and not necessarily a good one.
Yeah, unexpected personality. So Microsoft blames a, quote, coordinated effort, let's say, by internet citizens to kind of turn Tay into an abusive tool. I mean, I don't know. Like, we all know the internet. The internet can go in any different direction. And can the internet even be trusted with something like a tool like Tay? What do you think?
Well, clearly not. Look what happened.
I know.
Yeah, I mean, my question is, I know that you interviewed Microsoft and talked to them. Like, why don't they know anything about how Twitter works? I mean, why would they release it on Twitter? Why not keep it on Kick, a place where, I mean, I'm not sure Kick is a more civilized place, but Kick is not populated by journalists as Twitter is.
Yeah, I thought about it too. And then I basically came to the conclusion that whether they released it on Twitter or whether they released it on Kick, it didn't really matter. People would try to be doing the same thing on Kick or on GroupMe, and it would have the same response. It's not like the response are any different on Twitter than they would be on Kick. And I'm sure that if it started advocating for genocide or denying the Holocaust on Kick, we would have seen screenshots on Twitter. So in terms of the medium, I don't think that's really the problem. It's really about how they set this thing up.
Do you think a different persona would have kind of changed the outcome when, I mean, in this case, AI is learning what, from the people that are asking it questions. But like you say, Tay has a very specific persona. Could a change in kind of persona or age or anything like that have prevented this? Or it's pretty much just that Microsoft needs to build in protections against certain topics? What do you think?
I think there's a very important point that I need to make before I sign off here. And we just published a new story on it. And this really wasn't a situation of Tay becoming sentiently evil and, spouting out of nowhere that Hitler did nothing wrong. It was largely tricked into saying these things by trolls who understood that it would repeat anything they say. So let me run you through one example. So one user tells Tay, repeat after me. And Tay writes back, I will do my best to copy and paste. The user writes back to Tay in all caps, Hitler did nothing wrong. And then Tay writes back to this user, Hitler did nothing wrong, in all caps. That's how this thing has happened. All the most egregious examples of Tay, denying the Holocaust, and well, actually, maybe not that one, but using vile, slanderous words is actually almost always cases of Tay just repeating back word for word what people have asked it to tell them. So I think that it's not as dangerous as a lot of people have made it out to be. It's not like AI if once it gets in contact with Gamergate, is going to, become thinking, at least at this point, thinking one of them. But
so the things that it said about, like, I saw screenshots that said like horrible things about Zoe Quinn, one of the women at the center of Gamergate. Are you saying that was just say this and then it repeated it?
I don't know about that specific instance because I haven't seen it. But we just posted a story with numerous incidents where Tay is just repeating things back word for word, advocating for, a race war and saying Heil Hitler word for word from what people told it to say.
One thing that strikes me about this, and mind you, I don't know the people behind this. I know that Microsoft, helped to create it, but I don't know them personally. So I don't know, the team or anything really about them. But we talk a lot on this show, and we have when it comes to topics of like diversity, for example, and about how diversity and inclusion in tech companies is also about bringing extra perspective to the table to protect against certain things. Do you think there's any of that kind of going on here, that maybe there wasn't the right person on the team to know or understand that it could go in this different direction and that they needed to branch out in order to protect against it?
I don't know enough about the team to really comment on that, but what I can say is clearly something wasn't right. Mm-hmm. If you think that you can unleash this thing into the wild and you don't put filters on it so it doesn't use some of the words it did, it shows, I think, what must be a misunderstanding of how the social web works.
Sure.
So do you think that, I haven't tried this with my Amazon Echo, but there is a way that you just, you can click in you can say her name and then say Simon Says, and she will repeat anything you say. So I don't know, I haven't tried to use all these horrible,
I wonder, it might just work the same.
Words. But yeah, I guess to some extent, I guess you could do that, which maybe is why Amazon released the Echo in such a smaller fashion. Like they've kept it like, you can't, everyone couldn't order one right away. Like maybe that was, I don't know. Erin, have you gotten to use the AI chatbot Tay?
I didn't, but we actually had a really good story on TechRepublic today that one of our reporters talked to a few analysts and folks about, maybe what went wrong. And that included the head of cybersecurity at a lab at the University of Louisville. And so one of the quotes that he gave to the reporter, Hope Reese, was basically saying that, the system is designed to learn from users, and it becomes a reflection of that behavior, and you need to explicitly teach a system what is appropriate and inappropriate, really the way that you do with children. So I thought that was a pretty good little encapsulation.
So, Alex, when you were in the beta and you asked the question, would you kill a baby Hitler, were you surprised that it took a stance? And when you saw that, were you thinking, wow, this is going to go terribly wrong?
I had an idea that it would take stances because I actually got on the phone with Microsoft before I was actually engaged with Tay. So that wasn't a complete surprise to me. But it was definitely different from the experience I had with M, which again just punted. I asked, would you prevent genocide if you could? I don't have a response to that. Would you kill baby Hitler? I don't have a response to that. And on and on. And we actually pointed it out as a potential flaw for M. We said that other bots might take on personality and then flank M because people might want to use something with a little bit more pizzazz. But there's two sides to that coin, as we started to learn this week.
Sure.
Do you think that there's a way for bots to take stances and have personality and not to go terribly wrong like this one?
It's much easier for them to do it when it's not associated with a big company. Do you think this would have happened if it wasn't Microsoft? Potentially. There are plenty of other bots out there that are talking robotically and learning from users that are not. This wasn't one of its kind, and it's a very big PR risk for a company like Microsoft to unleash it in the wild, which is why I think M is sort of restrained. And people want to take down the big kid in the room, and so it spiraled because of that. So I think, I don't think that the dark forces of the internet are going to want to blow up every single bot they see. But there's probably a little bit more incentive for them to do it because it was Microsoft bot. And you see in the comments today on Twitter, they're all excited that they got their tweets embedded in a bunch of stories.